Hello students, I am Sanjay Saini. I am teaching you physics of class 12th. Till now, we have studied many topics related to moving charges and magnetism. Some of the topics are the motion of charged particle in combined electric and magnetic field, the magnetic effect of current, the torque on a rectangular current carrying loop when placed in magnetic field. In today's lecture, we are going to study moving coil galvanometer and the conversion of a galvanometer into voltmeter and into an ammeter. Dear students, these topics are very important. You watch the video carefully, make notes, keep pen and textbook and notebook with you, write the important formula whenever it comes in the video, and solve the numerical if it is asked. And after watching the complete video, you again read your textbook and reference books and make notes again. In this way, you will be able to clear the whole topics in depth. And still, if you are finding any problem, you are facing problems in understanding the topics, you can ask in the comment box or at my personal WhatsApp number. So, let us start the video. Dear students, galvanometer is a device which is used to detect the presence of current in any closed circuit. We connect a galvanometer in the series in the branch in which we want to check whether current is flowing or not. So after connecting in the series, if the galvanometer gives deflection, then it means that current is present. And if galvanometer does not give any deflection, it means that current is not flowing. So this is simply a device which is used to check whether the current is there in the circuit or not. So it is simply a indicator of current. So let us now see what is there inside a galvanometer. As you can see in the diagram, the galvanometer consists of two magnetic poles, north pole and south pole. These magnetic poles produce magnetic field from north to south direction. This is magnetic field from north to south direction. And now we have one rectangular coil, which is made up of a wire having low resistivity. Generally, the wire is made up of silver or gold, or sometime copper is also used. A thin wire is used which has low resistivity. Generally, gold is used for making coil of galvanometer. So it is the rectangular coil having large number of turns. You can see that there are many number of turns. These are the number of turns, and the coil is wound over a material, over a core. This gray shaped device which over which the coil is wound is the core of the coil. This is the core, and the core is made up of ferromagnetic substance, means a good magnetic substance. Generally the soft iron is used for making core. So the coil is made up of low resistivity wire, generally gold, and it is wound in the form of rectangular loops over a good magnetic substance, over soft iron. Generally the soft iron is used for making core of galvanometer. You can see that the coils are wound over soft iron core. So we have a number of rectangular loops. These are rectangular loops wound over soft iron core, and the coil is placed in uniform magnetic field as shown in figure. The coil is placed in magnetic field. Now the one side of the coil is connected to this screw, and the other side is connected to a spring, and then to this tension screw TS. And this is a mirror. Mirror is used to check the position of the pointer, what the pointer is representing the position. So when we switch on the current in the galvanometer, when the current start flowing in the galvanometer, then what happens? When current flows in this coil, then the coil experiences torque because of magnetic field. We have already studied that when a current carrying loop or current carrying coil is placed in magnetic field, then the loop or coil experiences torque because of magnetic field, and that torque is given by N BIA sin theta. Here N is number of turns in the loop in the coil, A is area of the coil, I is the current flowing in the coil, B is the magnetic field, and theta is the angle between normal of the loop and the direction of magnetic field. So because of the current flowing in the loop experiences torque, and that torque is given by tau is equal to NBIA sin theta. We have seen in previous article. So the torque experienced by the loop by the coil is actually it is NIAB sin theta. NIAB sin theta. This is not correctly written here. This is NIAB sin theta. Okay. So the torque is we can see that the torque is directly proportional to current. So as large as the current is flowing in the loop in the coil, the more torque it experiences, and because of the more torque it rotates through a large angle. The coil rotates through a large angle and we obtain a large deflection, and that deflection is pointed by the pointer in the galvanometer. So you can see here K alpha, here this NIAB sin phi, this is the torque acting on the rectangular coil when placed in magnetic field, and this K alpha, here alpha is the angular deflection of the coil. When you allow the current to pass through the coil, then coil rotates, and because of the rotation some restoring torque is developed in this spring, in this hair spring. A restoring torque is developed because this spring is actually connected so as to bring the coil in its actual position when current is switched off. When you switch on the current, then the coil rotates. Due to rotation of the coil, some deflection is produced in this spring and the spring gets stretched. Now this spring tends to bring the coil in its actual position, so it applies restoring torque on the coil. So that restoring torque developed inside the spring is given by K alpha, where alpha is the angular displacement, angular deflection. So that restoring torque is K alpha and torque on the coil is NIAB sin phi. In equilibrium position, these two are equal. In equilibrium position, the restoring torque is equal to the applied torque. These two are equal. So if we equate these two torques, we get I is equal to K alpha divided by NBA sin phi. So here the current I is directly proportional to angular deflection. It means the larger is the current flowing in the galvanometer, the larger is the angular displacement or angular displacement of the pointer of the galvanometer. So this is what we actually want in a galvanometer, that as much as the current flows in the galvanometer, the more deflection we always want. So the current is directly proportional to the angular displacement. This is always desired in a galvanometer. So I hope this construction is clear to you. Construction of galvanometer, what are the main components? It has magnetic poles, north pole and south pole, to produce magnetic field. A rectangular coil is closely wound coil made up of a wire of low resistivity, generally gold or silver, and it is wound over a material having high magnetic permeability. Generally the coil is wound over soft iron because soft iron is a good magnetic substance. So if you wound this coil over a magnetic substance, then more torque is experienced by the coil. So that's why we wound it over a soft iron core, because it has more magnetic permeability. And when current flows, then torque is experienced by the coil. Because of torque, the coil rotates, and when the coil rotates, then the spring gets stretched, and it tends to bring the coil in its actual position. It applies restoring torque K alpha. That restoring torque is equal to the applied torque. So if we equate these two, we get that current is directly proportional to the angular deflection. So this is the principle of moving coil galvanometer. So here the sin phi can be eliminated by choosing radial magnetic field. Here phi is the angle between the normal of the coil and magnetic field. If we use radial field means the magnetic field like this. Radial field means if the poles are in the form of curved form like this, then the magnetic field always remains perpendicular to the normal of the coil. Suppose in this situation the normal of the coil is in this direction, and magnetic field is in this direction. So these two are perpendicular. Magnetic field is in this direction and normal is in this direction, so they are always perpendicular. If the coil takes any other position, suppose the coil takes this position, in that case also some component of the magnetic field is always perpendicular to the normal of the coil. Therefore always the phi is the angle between magnetic field and normal of the coil, always it remains 90 degree, and because of 90 degree angle the torque on the coil always remains maximum. So if phi is equal to 90 degree, then torque is equal to maximum, and to keep the torque maximum we use radial field. So the question may be asked that why radial magnetic field is used in galvanometer. Then you will reply in this way that because of radial magnetic field, the angle between normal of the coil and magnetic field lines always remain 90 degree, and because of 90 degree the torque on the coil always remains maximum. So this is the use of radial magnetic field. So sin phi is sin 90 is 1. Therefore now current I can be written as K alpha divided by NBA. Actually it was K alpha divided by NBA sin phi. Because of radial field the phi is 90 degree, so it is NBA sin 90 is 1. So I is equal to K alpha over NBA. If we put this constant K divided by NBA, K is spring constant of the spring we used, N is number of turns, A is area of coil, and B is magnetic field. All these factors are constant. Therefore the whole factor is also constant. If we replace these constants by another constant G, which is actually known as galvanometer constant, then we find that the current is directly proportional to alpha, and that constant of proportionality is G here, and G is equal to K divided by NBA. So this G is called galvanometer constant. So now we have one very important term, that is sensitivity of galvanometer. There are two sensitivities of galvanometer. One is current sensitivity and other is voltage sensitivity. Now what is the term sensitivity? Sensitivity means how much sensitive is the galvanometer for the current applied to it. So it will be more sensitive, it will be said to have more sensitivity for current if it gives larger deflection for very small currents. So if you give very small current and galvanometer gives very large deflection, it means that it is more sensitive for the current. So the current sensitivity is directly proportional to deflection and inversely proportional to the current. Means the larger the deflection, for smaller the current, then it is having large current sensitivity. Actually it is given by the ratio alpha over I, means deflection divided by current. So this ratio, deflection per unit current, is called current sensitivity, and it is given by using this expression. You can find the value of current sensitivity alpha upon I is equal to NBA over K, means reciprocal of galvanometer constant. So how can you increase the current sensitivity? How can you increase the current sensitivity? It can be increased by keeping large number of turns in the coil, by keeping large area of the coil, by using strong magnetic field, and by using a spring of low spring constant, a spring of smaller spring constant. So if you use a spring having less having less rigidity or having less hardness, then it will have small value of K and the current sensitivity will be large. Okay. So if you ask that which material will you prefer to make the spring for using in galvanometer, is it copper or is it steel, then your answer should be copper, because copper is slightly softer as compared to steel, therefore it has low stiffness, low coefficient of this spring constant is smaller for copper as compared to steel, therefore we prefer copper for making spring to use in galvanometer. So for increasing the current sensitivity, you keep number of turns high, you keep the area of the coil large, you keep the strong magnetic field, and use a spring having less spring constant. So this is current sensitivity. We have one more very important topic, that is voltage sensitivity. It is very similar to current sensitivity, but this is defined in terms of voltage applied. So it is the deflection produced in galvanometer per unit applied potential across the galvanometer. It is not the applied potential actually, it is the per unit potential drop across the galvanometer. So if V is the potential drop across galvanometer only and alpha is its deflection, then voltage sensitivity is equal to deflection per unit potential drop across the galvanometer. So this is the voltage sensitivity, alpha divided by V. I am again making it clear that V is not the total applied voltage in the circuit. This is not the voltage of the battery you are using. This is actually the potential drop across the galvanometer. Galvanometer is certainly having some resistance, and when current flows through it, suppose galvanometer is having a resistance R and current I is flowing through the galvanometer, then some voltage is dropped across the galvanometer itself, and that voltage V is equal to I multiplied by R, means current multiplied by resistance of galvanometer. So this V is actually the potential drop across the galvanometer. So the ratio of deflection of the pointer divided by the potential drop across the galvanometer, alpha divided by V, this is called the voltage sensitivity. So the alpha upon I, it was NBA over I, and if you multiply I by R, then you will get the V, and it will be NBA over KR. Here R is the resistance of galvanometer only, not the resistance of the whole circuit. It is the resistance of galvanometer only. So this is voltage sensitivity. Now students, generally it is asked in the CBSE exams that if we increase one of the sensitivities, suppose you increase current sensitivity, does it mean that voltage sensitivity also increases automatically? So if you are increasing current sensitivity, then does it confirms that voltage sensitivity is also increased? Then your answer should be no, because if you increase any of the sensitivity, then it does not mean that the other sensitivity has increased, because there is one factor, resistance of the galvanometer, that is also appearing in voltage sensitivity. So if in increasing the current sensitivity somehow the resistance of the galvanometer gets changed, then the voltage sensitivity may also get decreased. So increasing the current sensitivity does not mean that voltage sensitivity also increases, it may decrease also. So now we have next topic, very important topic, conversion of galvanometer into ammeter. Dear students, if you have galvanometers available to you in the laboratory and you want to use those galvanometers as ammeter, means you want to use galvanometer to measure the value of current in a circuit. Actually the galvanometers are not meant for measuring the current. Galvanometers are used for checking the presence of the current, whether current is there or not. But with some changes you can use galvanometer to measure the value of current in a circuit. And it is a very simple process, very simple process. You have a galvanometer, you have a very small resistance, then you simply connect that very small resistance in parallel with the galvanometer, then it gets converted into an ammeter. So very simple process. To convert a galvanometer into ammeter, you connect a very small resistance, that is also known as shunt resistance. You connect a shunt resistance in parallel with the galvanometer. Then the combination can be used as an ammeter. The combination can be used for measuring the value of current. So let us see now. Suppose this is the actual branch of the circuit in which the galvanometer was connected, and the purpose of galvanometer, all of you know that it is to check the presence of current. Suppose Ig is the current for which the galvanometer gives full scale deflection. Full scale deflection of the galvanometer can be obtained by the current Ig, but you are not willing to use this galvanometer as galvanometer. You want to use it as a device to measure the current. You want to use it as ammeter. So what to do? You simply connect a very small resistance, that is shunt resistance, in parallel with the galvanometer. Now this arrangement is ammeter. Let us see how. Suppose the actually current drawn by the galvanometer was I, and now this current I is divided into two parts. One is Ig that flows into the galvanometer, and the other part I minus Ig flows through the shunt resistance. Now both of these components are in parallel, G and S, these two resistances are in parallel, therefore equal potentials are dropped across them. So means potential drop across the resistance S is equal to potential drop across the galvanometer. So this is the process. Galvanometer can be converted into ammeter by shunting it with a very small resistance. Potential drop across the voltmeter is galvanometer equal to the shunt resistance are equal. These two are equal. Potential drop in the shunt is equal to current multiplied by resistance I minus Ig into S, and potential in the galvanometer is current multiplied by resistance, means Ig into G. So what is the value of S now? S, or shunt resistance to be connected, it is equal to Ig into G divided by I minus Ig. So this is the method of converting the galvanometer into an ammeter. Simply connect shunt resistance in parallel with the galvanometer. And how much the shunt resistance is to be connected? That is equal to S is equal to Ig into G upon I minus Ig. Here I is the total current to be measured. Ig is the maximum current corresponding to maximum scale deflection of the galvanometer, and G is the capital G is the resistance of the galvanometer. So this is very simple. I am giving you one numerical problem. Suppose you have a galvanometer of resistance. You have a galvanometer of resistance 10 ohm, and it gives full scale deflection for a current 5 milliamperes. It gives full scale deflection for current 5 milliampere, and you want to use it as an ammeter. And you want to use it as an ammeter, and you connected a shunt resistance of 1 milliohm in parallel to the galvanometer. Then find how much current now you can measure using this arrangement. So you have a galvanometer of resistance 10 ohm. It gives full scale deflection for 5 milliampere current, and you connected 1 milliohm in parallel with the galvanometer. Now you find out how much maximum current you can measure using this arrangement. So this is a numerical problem. You solve it and reply me in the comment box. Now let us see how can you convert a galvanometer into voltmeter. Dear students, voltmeter is a very high resistance device, a device which has very high resistance, and it is used to measure the potential difference between any two points in a circuit. Between any 2 points where you want to find the potential difference, you simply connect a potentiometer in parallel to those points. So voltmeter is a device used to measure the potential difference, whereas galvanometer is a device to check the presence of current. Galvanometer is very low resistance device and voltmeter is very high resistance device. Then how to convert a galvanometer into voltmeter? A very easy process. You connect a very high resistance R, in series with the galvanometer. This is a galvanometer having very small resistance, and to convert it into voltmeter you simply connect a very high resistance in series with the galvanometer. Now this arrangement of a galvanometer and high resistance connected in series is acting as a voltmeter. Now to find out the potential difference across any element of the circuit, you connect this combination of a galvanometer and high resistance in parallel with that element, and you will get the reading of potential difference across that, potential drop across that element. So suppose the total current I is flowing in that circuit. I is the total current flowing in that circuit. This is current I, and this current I is divided into two parts. Say IZ current goes through the galvanometer, and remaining I minus IZ flows through the resistance across which you want to find out the potential drop. So in parallel the potentials are same. Potential drop across this resistance is equal to potential drop across this combination, and the potential drop across this combination is equal to current into resistance. Current is Ig and total resistance is G plus R. So potential difference V is equal to Ig multiplied by total resistance G plus R. So this is how you can convert a galvanometer into a voltmeter. This is very simple process. How much resistance is required? This is equal to V divided by Ig minus G. So this is the value. Now the difference between voltmeter and ammeter. Ammeter is very low resistance device connected in series. Voltmeter is very high resistance device connected in parallel. Resistance of galvanometer to be used as ammeter is equal to Gs divided by G plus S. Actually it is the effective resistance. Actually you had G and connected with S in parallel. So what is the effective resistance of G and S in parallel? The parallel resistance, if connected, then effective resistance is Gs divided by G plus S. And if you are converting galvanometer into voltmeter, then you are connecting high resistance R in the series, and the effective resistance in series is the sum G plus R. So these are the differences. The ammeter is connected in series, voltmeter is connected in parallel. Ideal ammeter has zero resistance and ideal voltmeter has infinite resistance. So these are the differences between ammeter and voltmeter. So dear students, this is the end of this unit. So what we have studied till now, we have studied in today's lecture that what is a moving coil galvanometer, construction and working of moving coil galvanometer, what is the use of radial magnetic field, what is the use of soft iron core, and the methods of converting a galvanometer into a voltmeter and into an ammeter. So you make notes, you solve numerical problems and discuss with me in this way, and you read from your textbooks also, textbook or reference books also. In this way you can prepare your topics very well. So if you are facing any doubt, any problems, you can share with me through comment box or through WhatsApp number. So I am always available for this task. So thank you very much. Stay home, stay safe. Thank you.